America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. The Democrat Party was born of violence. It has a violent history. And it is a violent entity today. It not only promotes violence with its propaganda, with its scare tactics, with its fear-mongering, and it does so for power. But it invites the most violent elements into its ranks. Violent felons, they insist, many of whom are still in prison, should be able to vote. Open borders, without limitation. We saw that for 4 years, without limitation. Invites violence, drug cartels, terrorists, criminals. And they not only don't care, that's their policy. Marxism is the most violent political ideology in the history of mankind. But it embraces it. Islamism is the most violent, fundamentalist, religious viewpoint, but they embrace them. You have mayors and city council members, Democrats, who run on attacking the cops, who run on attacking federal law enforcement, ICE, the Border Patrol, backed by Biden and the Democrats. They use the same propaganda that was used in the 1920s and 30s by fascistic regimes. I've been warning about this. I've done Fox shows on this, Blaze shows on this, radio shows on this. Law and order. Their idea of law and order? George Soros prosecutors who don't prosecute. To eliminate misdemeanors, Mondami says, and he's leading by double digits. The Jew hatred on our colleges and university campuses, in the streets. And by the way, they're not the only ones. those who trash Trump and Reagan and conservatism are no better. They're going to get people killed too. When the Jews are responsible for everything and anything, they're going to get people killed too. But you see, for we conservatives and Republicans, that cabal is the exception. For the Democrats, it's the rule. The targeting of Supreme Court nominees like Kavanaugh, like Clarence Thomas, the targeting of Supreme Court justices like Sam Alito and Thomas again. Two assassination attempts against Donald Trump. Did that lower their rhetoric? Not for a second. For them, it's still Hitler, dictator, fascist, authoritarian. We'll never get our democracy back. They don't even believe in democracy. Everything he does, they say, will destroy the country. And they're aided by lifetime appointed judges. They're aided by lifetime apparently appointed comics, phony journalists. Antifa, they tell us, is an idea. It's an idea. It's an idea that riots, commits arson, that beats people to a pulp. Seems to me that's more than an idea. They come to the defense of people who preach the overthrow of the United States, revolution against the United States. Khalil as a perfect example. CARE, a Hamas front group, is aligned with the Democrat Party. Students for Justice in Palestine, another Hamas front group aligned with Palestine, with the Democrats. Look at their papers. The New York Times covering up the Holocaust. The New York Times promoting phony photos about genocide in the Middle East and using Hamas numbers. CNN, same thing. Side with the terrorists. Side with the Islamists. Side with the Marxists. Side with the open borders. Side with the anti-cops. Anti-law and order. Trash the Constitution. Trash the civil society. Trash the founding of the greatest country on the face of the earth. You don't find that in the Republican Party. It's one party. The hate is ubiquitous. That doesn't mean there aren't some nut jobs who aren't Democrats, maybe Republicans, maybe nothing. The problem is this systemic issue within the Democrat Party. It was built on violence, and it promotes violence. They can talk about guns all they want. Let me remind you, guns won World War II. Guns stopped Hitler. Guns stopped Tojo. Guns stopped Mussolini. It depends who has the trigger. Their finger on the trigger. Local law enforcement, they have trashed and trashed and trashed again. Federal law enforcement, now it's ICE. ICE that dares to enforce the law. ICE's job is to comply with the immigration laws, to deport people who are here illegally. The problem for the Democrats is they brought these people in here illegally. They want them to be Democrats. They want them to affect the election results. They want them to affect the gerrymandering and how many seats they have in the House. I wrote the whole book on it, On Power. This is what it's all about. All about. Not democracy or republicanism, not the Constitution or the Declaration. You have a Democrat in the Senate from Virginia, for God's sakes. Tim Kaine. Your rights come from government. And if you think they come from God, then you're like an Islamist? Your rights come from God. Your earthly laws come from man. You dumb bastard. You don't even understand anything. But there's the dumb and then there's the purposeful. There's the Bernie Sanders. There's the Talib. There's Omar. We've not only imported the enemy, they're homegrown. Revolution is taught in our colleges and universities. You and me, we're paying for this. We're paying for this. And so there's another attack on another detention center. Two weeks after the assassination, the political, horrendous assassination of Charlie Kirk. After two attempted assassinations on the President of the United States. After United Healthcare's CEO was shot in the back and murdered, and a GoFundMe page is organized. T-shirts. And I don't think the Democrats are going to change one whit. They embrace an ideology that is not popular with the American people. And so they have to attack, they have to trash, they have to use language that is beyond provocative. The Democrat Party has become, quote unquote, the Democratic Socialist Party. I told you this before. It's not their base. It's the party. And if you disagree, you better get the hell out as fast as you can. They talk about lawfare, Donald Trump trying to even the score. Isn't that funny? Even what score, Mr. Producer? So there's a score to even? They don't even understand what they're saying. Retribution. Retribution for what? For trying to destroy him and put him in prison. In one jurisdiction after another. They destroyed our Department of Justice. They destroyed our FBI. They destroyed our justice system. How dare you indict James Comey, who lied before Congress? That's the allegation. How dare you? How dare you use the same tools and mechanisms that have been used against Trump and others, and they'll use them again. But if, in fact, Comey lied before Congress, isn't that a crime? And if, in fact, Letitia James lied about her mortgages, isn't that a crime? And if, in fact, Adam Schiff lied about his primary home, isn't that a crime? It's not retribution. They seek immunity. I've got more to say. And I will say this. I am proud of the vice president for what he said today and the way he said it. That the language incites violence. I would encourage him to tell his friend Tucker Carlson the same thing. The language incites violence. That said, to act like it's both parties is ridiculous, is absurd, because it's not. That doesn't mean there's not a kook who's a Republican. Of course. That's different than having a party that is founded on violence, that has lived on violence, that opens the border to violence, that undermines the cops to violence, that installs radicals as prosecutors who have a blind eye to violence. That's a different situation altogether. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Gavin Newsom is a disgusting disgrace. Shouldn't be anywhere near the White House, anywhere near the fence of the White House. Should be in Lafayette Park with all his friends, with a bullhorn. This guy is dangerous. He is a demagogue. He is a propagandist. He's destroyed his state, and he will do anything for power. Anything. Anything. Here he was with Colbert last night. Cut 22 ago.
We had a 15-year-old disabled kid in Los Angeles was waiting for his sister to come out of high school, and they pulled out guns on this kid. They pulled out guns and handcuffed this young child. That's happening in the United States of America. Masked men jumping out of unmarked cars, people disappearing, no due process. No oversight, zero accountability happening in the United States of America today. People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here in this country. And so I'm deeply proud that I had the privilege of signing the nation's first bill to address the issue of masking. Also to require, you have simple identification, to your point. I mean, if some guy jumped out of an unmarked car in a van with a mask on, tried to grab me, I mean, by definition, you're going to push back. And so these are not just authoritarian tendencies. These are authoritarian actions by an authoritarian government. You saw what Stephen Miller said last week. This should put chills up fine. Called the Democratic Party an extremist organization, basically a terrorist organization, saying he's going after his enemies. You saw the tweet that Donald Trump sent out, Truth Social, basically telling Pam Bondi, I want these 3 people taken out. That's happening in the United States. This can't be normalized. None of this can be normalized.
Can't be normalized, America. It's normal for a handicapped 15-year-old to be handcuffed and disappeared, isn't it, Mr. Producer? How many times has that happened? I don't even know if it's true. This guy's such a propagandist. Steve Miller didn't call the Democrat Party a terrorist party, but it is a party that lets terrorists into the country with open borders, is it not? It's a lawless party that embraces lawlessness, is it not? And we can go on and on about the Democrat Party, but this bastard, this fraud, this phony, this governor of California, who's destroyed his state with open borders and crime and all the rest of it, he is part of the violent problem. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let Let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Take the survey on America's future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's driving the media mad. Mark Levin, call in with your outrage. 877-381-3811.
When you keep talking about ICE agents and you use... See, again, the book on power, if you read the language chapter, what do? I don't even know if it's true. If some 15-year-old girl was in a wheelchair and collected as an illegal alien. But let's say it is true. This is what people like Newsom do. They take that and exploit it. She was put in handcuffs. He doesn't mention how many hundreds, if not thousands, of criminal aliens have been deported. Does he? How many thousands of criminal aliens have been imprisoned, murderers and rapists, as a result of this? One handicapped person. That's what he's got. That's what he's got. And so, that's what he exploits. Wearing masks. We know why they're wearing masks. To protect themselves and their families. It's not a state secret. But he acts like they're doing it because they're part of the SS or some other horrendous entity. And they should show their ID. Read the immigration laws. They're not required to show their ID. Obviously, they're dressed in appropriate garb. Often, they have the initials of the agency they're from on their garb. Excuse me. They don't take taxis. They're not taking Cadillacs and sedans. They're not dropped off by chauffeurs. They're coming in special vehicles that are marked. And yet he creates this image that is intended to create an image of Nazis or the Stalin Red Army or some third world dictator like in Cuba or Venezuela. It's outrageous. And he did that. He did it the night before the shooting by another young man who then killed himself. And I want to make it abundantly clear. The problem is not just what the Democrats are saying and doing. I've said it before. I've said it earlier than most. It's the internet. It's these so-called private rooms or private boards where there's no intervention, where they work each other up into a lather, where they become radicalized on the internet. On the internet. Nobody even talks about it. Nobody even talks about it. I told you before, just look at the comments when I post anything now about Jew this, Jew this, Jew this, and Jew this. And I'm telling you the truth. We have now people who are rightly calling out the Democrats, but they are not rightly calling out the Jew haters, the Islamists, the radical, bigoted isolationists. They don't call them out. Do you hear them call them out, Mr. Producer? I haven't heard a single government official call them out. Tell them to cut it out. I'm telling them to cut it out. But I'm not a government official. Just incredible. This whole thing about Jimmy Kimmel, I've been on top of this when I got back. I've explained it to you. It's not a free speech issue. He's a fraud and a phony. He's a nasty punk. It's what he is. It's what he is. Hollywood rallies around him. The left rallies around him. This guy Iger, radical Democrat, who's destroyed Disney, who's destroyed their brand. They can't even get people into their parks. They've overcharged the average American. He took Walt Disney's dream and he's destroyed it. And he intercedes and they bring him back. Doesn't apologize for what he said. MAGA had nothing to do with, or Charlie Kirk's TPUSA supporters had nothing to do with his assassination. What kind of bullcrap is that? He's no First Amendment leader. He's a selfish pig. That's what he is. A private company has every right to fire somebody like that. Certainly not a First Amendment issue. This guy, this chairman of the FCC, he didn't do anything. And people try to make their cred and want to be even patted on the back by the left because they criticized him. Really? You know what Woodrow Wilson did with the government and free speech? You know what Franklin Roosevelt did? You know what Kennedy did? Johnson did? Read my other book, On Freedom of the Press. 10 others. But read that one. FCC chairman can't do anything without 2 other votes. There was no government intervention. There was no First Amendment violation. This isn't a free speech issue. If you're a schmuck that says intentionally, planned, strategized, provocative statements about a political assassination, you took the risk and you lost. But now he's back. He should be gone. If you truly believe in free speech, you've got to believe in the consequences of the private sector, the market system. If this is the kind of person you're going to push out front. Nothing wrong with firing him. Nothing. In fact, it was a good thing. These guys think they have a lifetime job. You don't. You don't in my business, broadcasting. So why does he? We discuss things here that I hear on other radio shows now, on other cable shows, and it's a good thing they're paying attention. Really good thing. That they paid attention to my discussion with Bill O'Reilly last night, where we both brought up the fact that how come we're not on ABC? No, I don't want to be on ABC. That's not even my point. I am fine where I am. But is that a violation of free speech? That you don't have any conservatives really on there? Conservative comics? Conservative women instead of just The View? Is that suppression of speech? No, it's not. It's a damnable abomination, but it's not a suppression of speech. People don't even know what they're talking about. This guy, this Kimmel, he's Rosa Parks all of a sudden. He's Mahatma Gandhi. He's nothing. He didn't even apologize. Unbelievable. Well, Ted Cruz at a press conference this morning regarding the ICE shooting. Cut 2, go.
This needs to stop. Violence is wrong. Politically motivated violence is wrong. It was 2 weeks ago today that we saw a political assassination in Utah that tore the heart out of much of this country. This is the 3rd shooting in Texas directed at ICE or CBP. This must stop. To every politician who is using rhetoric, demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP, stop. to every politician demanding that ICE agents be doxxed and calling for people to go after their families, stop. This has very real consequences. Look, in America, we disagree. That's fine. That's the democratic process. But your political opponents are not Nazis. We need to learn to work together without demonizing each other, without attacking each other. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the brave men and women of law enforcement. I want to say thank you to the brave men and women of ICE and CBP and everyone who puts their lives on the line to keep us safe. The divisive rhetoric tragically has real consequences.
They don't want to debate the facts. They don't want to debate the substance. They don't want to debate the policies. When these issues come up, they lie and they lie and they lie again. About how the Republicans want to take your health care away, how they want to take your Social Security away, how they want to take your Medicare away, as if no Republicans are on Social Security, Medicare, or health care. It's insane. And this is what they do. This is what they do. And it's not going to stop. In fact, since the assassination attempt on the president when he was first shot in the head in the ear, it's gotten worse. The second one's gotten even worse. Charlie Kirk's murdered. They didn't miss a beat. This guy, Newsom, he's on Colbert's show, and there he is, stoking the flames. By the time you're done and you're a whack job, you're saying, yeah, ICE is the enemy. We got to take him out. Yeah, Trump's the enemy. Got to take Hitler out. Yeah, of course. Of course. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. The killer, 29 years old, killed a detainee and then killed himself. Shot a number of people. Long distance with a rifle. As I said, 29 years old. And his name is Joshua Jean. He doesn't have any violent history. I think he was arrested once for possession of marijuana. They're still digging up the background. I mean, who the hell knows? They'll gather more information. He chiseled into one of the bullets. He's anti-ICE. Hey, look, I think Gavin Newsom and his ilk ought to take credit. You put out your message. Your messaging has worked. Your messaging has worked. People hate ICE, including the nut jobs, including the people who are right on the edge. So your messaging has worked. The Democrat Party's messaging has worked. It's worked. Take credit for what you've done. Take credit for it. Your message was heard. You're not talking because you don't want to be heard. You're not talking because you don't want to influence policies. You're not talking because you don't want to influence outcomes. You're talking because you do. But I don't mean for violence occurred. Well, the language that you use, what do you mean? What do you expect to occur? And then they go, hey, outlaw guns. How about we outlaw your big damnable mouth? 3 detainees shot, 1 dead. Could have been ICE agents, God forbid, as well. I want to get into this issue on language. It's very, very important. Whether it's this putz Kimmel, whether it's this demagogue Newsom, whether it's AOC and Tlaib and all the rest, yes. And whether it's the isolationist bigots, they use damnable violent language too. I said to you last night, where do these anti-Semites want to push people like me? What is it that they're trying to do to us? Have us locked up? What have people harm us? What do they want? What's their end game? And they keep at it, and they keep at it, and they keep at it. They interview each other, and then they interview each other again. Then the blood libels about how the Jews killed Christ. Read about that, folks. Read about it. It's an old Klan trick. How the Jews are going to get us into a war. How the Jews control the economy. Listen to them, this guy, Jake Sherman. Who the hell is that? He's a former UFC guy, Mr. Producer? You don't know? Is that his name? I don't even know his name. There's so many of them now. Yes, people are going to get hurt. People are going to get killed. It's not a joke. When you try to destroy a group of people, whether it's ICE, whether it's the NYPD or other cops, whether it's people because of their ethnicity or their religion, it's one thing to call out Islamist terrorists by organization because that organization is funded to do exactly what they say they are doing. It's another thing to attack all Muslims. It's another thing to attack all Jews. It's another thing to attack all Christians. All Trump supporters. And it's intentional. Then it's the guns. You know, it's the guns. The guns did it. The guns did it. And that's how they cleanse their souls, they think. Oh, Jake Shields is the guy's name. I don't know that he had any brains to be battered when he was in the UFC or not. He's certainly not alone. There's a long list. They ought not be platformed. They ought not be promoted by TPUSA, which should stay focused on its mission. A grand and crucially important mission. Swat away the grifters. Swat away the anti-Semites. Swat away the anti-Christians. Swat them away. Because they seek to devour, not promote and expand. Nothing I say should be controversial. I speak the truth. If the truth is controversial, we're in big trouble. I speak the truth. Nothing I say is controversial. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You know, I write these books, and there he goes, writing another book for money. I don't write books for money. I write books for a reason. On power. In many ways, it's prescient. On language. Language has many purposes. But at its core, language is about communication. And there are many types of communication and many purposes for it. And I'll organize them into 2 basic categories as I write. The power of language and the power over language. I want you to think about what I'm reading to you in the context of what's been going on here, okay? Again, this distinction has been discussed over the ages and in recent times. I shall use them here to make certain fundamental points, understanding that they are distinguishable in significant ways. The pursuit and maintenance of negative power, centralized authoritarian power, require the utilization of negative techniques in communication, including manipulation, deception, repetition, deceit, concealment, distraction, fearmongering, and in language that is intimidating, self-serving, and orchestrated. That, ladies and gentlemen, describes exactly what's being done to us. Exactly. It is an approach that seeks to arouse prejudices and stifle independent thought. This is in On Power. The purpose is to exert power over language and to control the population without moral reservations. Indeed, morality itself is said to be relative, or nothing but an abstraction, concealing the rot of open societies and democracies, their view, and obfuscating the exploitation of the people. Now, that one paragraph alone tells you everything. In the political context, when language is applied this way, it strikes a central part of the democratic system, denying the body politic information with which to make knowledgeable, qualitative, and collective decisions. Of course, this is the intention of its practitioners. Moreover, communication of this sort exists for the purpose of arousing, listen, arousing and angering the citizenry and exhorting them to action that is destructive of the existing society and their own lives and lifestyles in service to the demagogue and his aims. Inasmuch as the people and their consent are the only legitimate and just source of government, the entire enterprise becomes corrupt and malevolent. Unfortunately, citizens acquiesce to it, regurgitate it, even demand it. Where applicable, vote for it. Mandami, Newsom, Sanders, Tlaib, just some prominent examples. Believing there is no other course or that it is the best course until it's too late to reverse course without an abrupt and often violent revolt. But for many, suffering persists for an extended period of time. Well, stick with me. For example, prior to the Russian Revolution, Britannica finds that in Vladimir Lenin's 1902 pamphlet called What is to be Done, he argues, quoting Britannica here, quote, that the propagandist, whose primary medium is print, explains the causes of social inequities, such as unemployment or hunger, while the agitator, whose primary medium is speech, seizes on the emotional aspects of these issues to arouse his audience to indignation or action. Agitation is thus the use of political slogans and half-truths, listen, to exploit the grievances of the public and thereby to mold public opinion and mobilize public support. Propaganda, on the other hand, is the reasoned use of historical and scientific arguments to indoctrinate the educated and so-called enlightened members of society, such as party members. Now, here's the key. The combination of agitation with propaganda, which is what you're seeing in the Democrat Party and the radical left, which is what you're seeing with the anti-Semite bigots. Agitation with propaganda is called Agitprop. 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 The term Agitprop originated as a shortened form of the agitation and propaganda section of the Central Committee Secretariat of the Communist Party in the Soviet Union. This department of the Central Committee was established in the early 1920s and was responsible for determining the content of all official information. Now, for Marxism and other forms of autocratic ideologies and governing systems, negative power is exercised through language that is tailored to lord over the people and control the society and culture. Language is a tool of the state that serves the state. In this case, the Democrat Party and their media. It takes on an official character. It is limited, prescribed, restricted. It compels certain types of speech, suppresses other forms. Simply put, it is thought control of the people. This is who Newsom is, Bernie Sanders, Tlaib, virtually every major media network and platform. Virtually every one. The goal is to subvert the civil society and the principles, values, and beliefs on which it was established, corrupt the public spirit and civic harmony, and reject compromise and accommodation. The people must be unmoored from and cleansed of their history, faith, and family. Service to the totalitarian state and its utopian fiction is the highest calling, if not the only calling, and all other forms of experience and socialization are impediments and hindrances to the cause. Democracies are not immune to this plight. In fact, they are susceptible to it. Negative power and therefore negative language exist in all societies, albeit to a different degree than in totalitarian regimes. But an examination of its influence in democracies first requires a review of positive language in democracies. I don't have time to get into it, but there's an entire chapter on what's going on with what Newsom says. The call to violence, that's what it is. You're calling people Hitler. It's a mass murder. You're treating ICE like it's the Gestapo or the SS. Then you're free to shoot them. You can't out of one side of your mouth say, no violence, and then out of the other side of your mouth, make the most horrendous parallels that it can possibly exist. These politicians, they're $2 politicians. They're worth nothing. They try to manipulate us, deceive us, fearmonger us. These are dangerous, pathetic people. They're not statesmen. They're not leaders. Let's go on. Let's go on to the former FBI director that has everything to do with everything I'm saying. James Comey. James Comey is sinister. He's evil. The things that he's done during his career are unconscionable. He tried to set up newly elected President Trump in his first term. He gave cover to Hillary Clinton. He deceived the public. He deceived Congress. In one of the most powerful positions our government has. By the way, as an aside, what are these attacks on Kash Patel? I don't even understand them, Mr. Producer. How did he screw up the investigation of Charlie Kirk? Do you know? I don't even know what the allegations are. In 36 hours, they had their man, not so much because of the FBI, and not even so much because of local law enforcement. His father forced him to surrender. Okay, but why are you trying? I don't get it. So why is that a problem with Kash Patel or the FBI? I don't understand. I really don't. Or our buddy Dan Bongino. What is the problem here? All right, that's a footnote because it's been annoying me. Why are they attacking him over this? What did he do? That was so how did he screw it up? He didn't. But now James Comey. Katie Tur on MSNBC today. Cut 21, go.
It's out of the Eastern District of Virginia, where three sources familiar tell MSNBC former FBI Director James Comey is expected to be indicted in the coming days. The full extent of the charges being prepared against Comey is unclear.
So this means the career bureaucrats in the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia, which is very, very powerful. This is where the CIA is based, the Pentagon is based. A lot of these spy cases are handled there. When I was Chief of Staff to Attorney General Meese, this is where the action was for the most part. So the people in the office are leaking. The people who are preparing the documents are now leaking to MSNBC. 3 sources, they say. Who knows if that's true or not, but somebody is. And it's not the acting U.S. attorney. It's not the White House. So it's the usual slime balls. So be it. It won't be the District of Columbia, where if you're Democrat, you pretty much get a pass. If you're Republican, you're guilty before you walk into the courtroom. And the Eastern District of Virginia is not all Republican. There's a lot of Democrats in Northern Virginia. But it's not 90-some% Democrat either. And so the very people who use lawfare, the very people who turned our justice system into a Castro-like, Maduro-like, Mao-like, Stalin-like justice system are worried about retribution. Why is this retribution? Well, didn't you see Trump's tweet that he didn't mean to release? Who cares? Did he lie to Congress or not? They have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Why is that retribution? Why is it retribution if Letitia James lied like a rug on various mortgage applications and Adam Schiff allegedly did the same? Why is that retribution? It's not retribution. It's rule of law. It's the way it's supposed to work. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
When was the last time you bragged about your wireless company? Like, did you know my wireless company gave away 1,000 American flags to deserving vets and forgave $10 million in veteran debt? Did you know my wireless company raised almost $500,000 to help prevent veteran suicide? In other words, when your wireless company is Pure Talk, there's a whole lot to brag about. You can even brag about the coverage you get with Pure Talk, a 5G network that is insanely fast, dependable, and secure. And you can definitely brag about how much money you save with Pure Talk. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Just $25 a month, saving the average family over $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to my favorite wireless company, Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin and save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/LEVIN. Make the switch today. Pure Talk, wireless worth bragging about. Glad to see people making my points about Kimmel. It's very important. Very, very important. I'm buying into this nonsense about the First Amendment. It has nothing to do with it. Of course, he attacks Trump. Sami Hadi is a Muslim Brotherhood political activist and analyst. The Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist organization. Comes out of Egypt. They murdered Sadat. They spawned Islamic Jihad and Hamas. They spawned competitors, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Wahhabism, which comes out of Saudi Arabia. Qatar, which is a terrorist regime, protected KSM, who shortly thereafter slit Pearl's throat, decapitated him, the reporter for the Wall Street Journal, and led the strategy in the assault on our country on 9/11. I am warning. And I am warning, and I am warning, and people are afraid to join me in this, and they shouldn't be afraid. They better start speaking out. That this Islamism is a grave danger to our country. That this hatred of America, hatred of Christianity, real Christianity, and specifically the hatred toward the Jews is so out of control. And it is bred by the Islamists, and it is bred by the bigots, the isolationists. Here's Sammy Hadi, and I'm the only one with the guts to play this. It's all over the place, is it not, Mr. Producer? The only one. Not because I want a pat on the head, because I'm trying to alert everybody. I'm going to play it without comment. Just listen. Make sure it's loud enough, Rich. I'm going to play it without comment from me. Cut 11, go.
That we're seeing now right-wing bases. Who would have thought that Tucker Carlson, of all people, would sit there and be the #1 advocate against Zionism in America today? Candace Owens, did you guys see the Ted Cruz interview where Tucker Carlson rips into Ted Cruz and just completely destroys him? Matt Walsh likewise, and there's a huge Marjorie Taylor Greene. Sean King said to me when we were in the car once, he said, Sammy, you don't understand who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. She's the representative of the most racist area in Georgia. African Americans were told not to go to her area. She's now one of the loudest advocates against Zionism. But here's my point about the Ummah when you said that we've done everything we can. Why has that change taken place? Because we started to deploy a power that we haven't maxed out yet. Trump is looking at Tucker Carlson, who's saying we shouldn't get involved. Candace Owens, we shouldn't get involved. Matt Walsh, we shouldn't get involved. Dave Smith, Trump needs to be impeached if he goes into Iran. So Donald Trump, because of that scream, because of you here in Kuala Lumpur, because of us in London, because of those in Berlin, in Rome, because we actually decided to speak about it, because it became relevant, because we decided to tweet about it, because we decided to because we decided to do da'wah at last instead of sleeping, what happened was Trump instead went to the Iranians and said to them, listen, I need a way out. I'm going to send 2 bombers. They're going to bomb. What did Israel say? These 3 sites. Your scream, your voice, it has power. It shifted an entire U.S. foreign policy. It stopped Trump from intervening in Iran itself. And this is the whole point. When people say, why come to Kuala Lumpur? Why go to these places? It's because the power is not there like you think it is. The power is here. We are achieving results. They said that when Trump comes to power, it will be disastrous, like for Muslims in America. Mahmoud Khalil, arrested, released. Rumaysat Oztur, arrested, released. Mohsen Mahdawi, arrested, released. American Muslims for Palestine, tried in Michigan, the case was dropped. Tried in Nevada, the case was dropped. They tried to pass the anti-boycott bill, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she pulled it. They tried to do a non-profit killer bill where the Attorney General would have the unilateral right to remove a tax-exempt status. Guess who removed that clause from the bill? Christian churches who said, why is Zionism intervening in terms of how we decide our non-profit? The reality is that people are making an effort and it's working.
It's a Muslim Brotherhood activist. Now, let me ask you folks a question, Mr. and Mrs. America. If somebody was saying something like this about you and you disagreed, wouldn't you denounce them, Mr. Producer? Have you heard any of these people denounce this guy? I urge them to do it. When was the last time you bragged about your wireless company? Like, did you know my wireless company gave away 1,000 American flags to deserving vets and forgave $10 million in veteran debt? Did you know my wireless company raised almost $500,000 to help prevent veteran suicide? In other words, when your wireless company is pure talk, there's a whole lot to brag about. You can even brag about the coverage you get with Pure Talk, a 5G network that is insanely fast, dependable, and secure. And you can definitely brag about how much money you save with Pure Talk. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Just $25 a month, saving the average family over $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to my favorite wireless company, Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin and save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/LEVIN. Make the switch today. Pure Talk, wireless worth bragging about.
Mark Levin, the research arm of conservative media. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I played that audio, that lowlife POS is based in London, the Muslim Brotherhood political analyst. Not just for your benefit, but for the benefit of the people he's calling out and praising. They need to know what they've become, according to the enemy, anyway. And they ought to push back, and they ought to deny it. That's what they should do. I encourage them to do it. It's more of a public service than anything else. This is how you're viewed by the Muslim Brotherhood. They're praising you. You should push back. You should say, no, that's not me. No, I don't agree. It's not like it's not on the internet. It's all over the place, but nobody will play it. Again, I did it. It's a public service. Well, President Trump is taking a pretty hard-ass stand against Putin and Russia. This will really upset the grifters, the isolationists, the American hater-firsters. This will really bother these podcasters. A lot. Bother them a lot. He's calling out Putin. Said he's embarrassed himself in the Russian military. He says that Ukraine could actually take back most of its territory and even more. He's told the Europeans, you got to cut off your cash to Russia for their fuel. Nobody pays an enemy that uses the money to build up their war machine. Nobody. And yet that's what they're doing. Trump told NATO, if Russia flies jets into your airspace, shoot them down. Shoot them down. Mm-hmm. Boy, they must hate Trump. That's why Carlson turned on Trump today again. Did you hear that, Mr. Producer? Oh, yeah. But, of course, he turned on Trump not just for that, but because he said Netanyahu's bragging that he controls the American government, he controls the president, he controls the cabinet. Netanyahu's over there bragging about it. Did you know that, Mr. Producer? And so David Friedman, the great former U.S. ambassador to Israel, he said, okay, give us the names of the people who told you that. Just give us the names. Stop lying, Carlson. Why do you do that all the time? Give us the names. And I agree. Give us the names. Friedman knows Netanyahu very, very well. Says he's never said it to him. He's never said it to me. Never said it to anybody. But he's a Jew, and he's an Israeli, and he's the most effective leader they've ever had. And so he has to be trashed. There's another audio out there that I put up that somebody put together about what Carlson said in 2017 and what he says today. Exact opposites. And so people are wondering, did he have a head injury? Is the influencer being influenced? Because it's incoherent. It's incomprehensible. Incomprehensible. I don't really care. It's irrelevant to me. I'm just here to bring the truth and expose these people for what they are. Because this mindset, this propaganda, relentless sloganeering and lying about an ethnicity and a faith is going to get people killed. I'm telling you that right now. Just like I told you the Democrats are going to get people killed. There are sick people out there. And when they hear this sick stuff, it gaslights them. That's what it does. It feeds into their worst impulses. Now, I don't know how much more of this we have to see to understand it. And why am I the only one or one of the few calling these people out? Why is that? Why is that? We constitutional conservatives, we believe in our founding, we believe in the framers, we believe in our fantastic Declaration and Constitution. We believe in the Judeo-Christian belief system and the values that undergird our society. We believe in the Enlightenment, as the founders did, in Locke and Montesquieu. The civil society that Aristotle talked about, among others. These are the things that make America great. Fantastic. This country rose to the occasion when we were attacked at Pearl Harbor by the Imperial Japanese. War was declared on us by the Nazis and the fascist brown shirts in Italy. Our greatest generation rose up. Hundreds of thousands murdered, killed. Defeated the Axis powers along with our allies. And they're attacked. It said they fought for the Jews. That Hitler may have been more right than we think, and Churchill was the thug. This is what you hear on Carlson's show and others. Does that sound like pro-American to you? Does it? Or criticizing us for defeating Imperial Japan, where we needed to drop 2 atomic bombs to get unconditional surrender. It's amazing to me. The Israelis want to put an end to Hamas. They've had enough with, quote-unquote, a forever war. And they said, we're not going to stop till we're done. In Japan, we said, we're not going to stop unless they surrender unconditionally. Israelis said, Hamas has to surrender unconditionally. We want our hostages, and we want them to surrender. The U.S. good, Israel bad. But now the U.S. is bad, according to some people in these isolationist, bigoted, hate America movement, where they have fused with the Marxists and the Islamists on the left. That's why I say reject them. Reject those who platform them. Even at ESPN. I shouldn't say even. I don't think it's a surprise. There's some great guys there, but there's also some a-holes. Our friends at Breitbart, one of the great sites, Paul Bowles. It's boys, actually. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. ESPN analyst Michael Wilbon, this guy's always been a lefty, celebrates retirement of divisive Auburn coach Bruce Pearl. I know Bruce Pearl personally. He's not divisive. He's a beautiful man. He's Jewish. He's married to a Christian. He embraces his wife, her belief system, his own belief system. He's a fantastic man, a man of great peace, as a matter of fact. ESPN analyst Michael Wilbon expressed joy over Auburn head basketball coach Bruce Pearl announcing his retirement, calling him divisive, while suggesting he was forced out. I doubt it. He's one of the most winning coaches in America. Bruce Pearl announced his retirement on Monday despite an accomplished and winning career. Quote, I think it's kind of a balance of life, of time, of work. I love Auburn. I truly do. I want to do it when I am on top of my game. We owe that to our players and our fans. As you get a little bit older, take it one day at a time, Pearl said to CBS Sports' John Rothstein in early September. Speaking on Pardon the Interruption, ESPN Michael Wilbon said Pearl had become a, quote, divisive person during his career. He's a man who voted for Obama twice, and then he became a Trump supporter and a supporter of the state of Israel, outspoken. So now he's divisive. He's divisive. Steve Kerry, he's not divisive, is he, Mr. Producer? He had become a divisive person, it seems to me, intentionally, and I hope there was pressure to get him out, says Wilbon. These are the people who believe in freedom of speech and all their merit, right? I bet this jackass was all for Kimmel, this Wilbon. He's a dumbass. That's what he is. He's just another lib. I believe he used to write at the Washington Post. You know, if these guys are getting into the politics, which they're free to do, they really ought to know and think about what they're saying. Stephen A. Smith's a perfect example. You may not always agree with him. The guy is sharp as hell. Smart as hell. That's what he is. I don't always agree with him. You don't always agree with him, but you respect him. You respect him. Because you know he's coming at it from a cerebral point of view. He's trying to think these things through, rationalize it from his perspective. That's not what this clown Wilbon's all about. While Wilbon did not go into detail, it's possible he may have been discussing Pearl's support of Israel in support of President Trump. However, as noted by Awful announcing, Pearl had been at the center of several recruiting scandals. I don't know anything about that, but let's say he was. That had nothing to do with now. As SB Nation once laid out, Pearl has never had a shortage of detractors. The coach once secretly taped a conversation with a recruit in an attempt to peg him for receiving illicit gifts. Early on at Auburn, Pearl's program was one of the key subjects of an FBI This is how you try and rip people. Subject of an FBI probe. And what happened to Pearl as a result of it? Nothing. Nothing. But that's not why they view him as a divisive figure. That's not why. Because he retained his position. He's a massively winning coach. Now, because he supports the president and he supports Israel. As long as he supported Obama, they didn't give a damn. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
When was the last time you bragged about your wireless company? Like, did you know my wireless company gave away 1,000 American flags to deserving vets and forgave $10 million in veteran debt? Did you know my wireless company raised almost $500,000 to help prevent veteran suicide? In other words, when your wireless company is Pure Talk, there's a whole lot to brag about. You can even brag about the coverage you get with Pure Talk, a 5G network that is insanely fast, dependable, and secure. And you can definitely brag about how much money you save with Pure Talk. Unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Just $25 a month, saving the average family over $1,000 a year. It's time to switch to my favorite wireless company, Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin and save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, puretalk.com/LEVIN. Make the switch today. Pure Talk, wireless worth bragging about. This is Radio Free America, ladies and gentlemen. The truth shall set you free. You can either believe it and embrace it or not. I'm just glad that most of you do. I want to pause for a moment and thank you for listening and standing with us. I know we've covered a lot. Why? Because there's a lot to cover. Not bouncing around. We're hitting each one. Very, very importantly, studies claiming most political violence is right-wing are transparently bogus. New York Post, David Harsanyi, who's really good. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, Ilhan Omar tweeted out an Anti-Defamation League chart that purports to prove that right-wingers perpetrate the majority of politically motivated murders of the United States. Wow, isn't that an irony? Data isn't vibes, she wrote. If you need vibes, check out the hate-filled comments the right wing will leave on this post and all my posts. Now, the ADL graph is very popular with left-wingers. The problem is that it's based on one of the most dishonest reports you'll ever read. I've told you I'm no fan of the Anti-Defamation League since a few years ago it hired an Obama flack to run it, named by Greenblatt. Let's begin with the ADL's most recent murder and extremism in the United States survey. The group claims that there were 13 murders motivated by extremists in the country last year. 11 of them, the ADL contends, were committed by right-wingers. The ADL has long padded its right-wing extremism by including incidents of non-ideological criminality by perpetrators suspected of being white supremacists. This year, though, virtually none of the incidents listed by the ADL has been committed by white supremacists or far-right anti-government extremists seem to have any political motivation. The list includes murders that occurred during attempted prison escapes, sex crimes, robberies, family squabbles, none of which has anything to do with furthering the tenets of white supremacy or any cause. In one of those supposedly right-wing extremist incidents, the police have yet to find a motive for the homicide. The only characteristic that qualifies all these acts as right-wing is the perpetrators being identified as possible white supremacists, usually by their tattoos. Does the ADL check as well to see if murderers have hammer and sickle tats of copies of Che Guevara's The Motorcycle Diaries in their homes? In one of 11 murders classified as right-wing in the 2024 ADL list was the perpetrator clearly inspired by ideology. It's not irrelevant that white supremacists are prone to criminality and murder. These incidents do not rise to political terrorism in a way commonly understood. On the other hand, the assassination of Brian Thompson, CEO of United Healthcare, was explicitly ideological in nature. The shooter wrote an anti-capitalist manifesto. Yet the ADL did not characterize it as a left-wing attack. It did not include it on its list of extremist murders at all. This fraud, the guy that runs the ADL, he needs to go. Needs to go. It's fair to say that not all violence is the same. Contra Omar, attempting to quantify political violence isn't scientific data. Many attacks, like the one on Paul Pelosi, were perpetrated by mentally ill people. Mentally ill people. Come on, damn it, this ad came on. There we go. Do you get that too, Mr. Producer? You're in the middle of reading something and an ad pops up. You know what I do when that happens? I never buy whatever pops up. Never. So that guy was perpetrated by mentally ill people with no coherent ideological outlook. But while a murder over a custody dispute is abhorrent, it's not political violence either. Just ask the socialists with a Free Luigi t-shirt. Many similar surveys of political violence, including from the FBI, suffer from similar problems. Look, survey or no survey, you and I, we witness what's going on, we hear what's going on, and we know what's going on. We know what's taking place. We know who is urging violence. We know who is violent. And the thing about me is I call them all out. All of them. But the vast majority, clearly, are within the Democrat Party and the left. The Democrat Party invites them into the party. The Islamists, the Marxists. Antifa, they tell us, is an idea. It's an idea with a lot of violence, I can tell you that. We'll be right back.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I have some very creative friends. And one of them is Mike Booth. Some of you may have heard of him. I'm not going to discuss where he works and so forth. I don't know if it helps him or hurts him, but he's a good man. He's a patriot. And he has a background in many things, kind of a Renaissance man in entertainment. Singing, was an auctioneer and so forth, and done a lot of wonderful things. Just a good guy. But as I said, he's a great patriot. And Mike Booth wrote a beautiful poem about the flag. And I read it, and I really liked it before I left last week for Israel to see the city of David. And I said, why don't you do that in audio? And so I want you to hear this. And again, I love promoting patriots and patriotic things, particularly now. So here he is about our flag, the American flag. Go.
Our great American flag. The flag represents freedom for me and you. The colors are red, white, and blue. Things that mean as much are very few. The colors are three, and that puts a feeling of pride in me. I can truly say why. I feel pride each time I see it fly. My pride comes from thinking of those before us, those that gave all to allow some of us to speak out and make a fuss. I've heard it said, I don't agree with what you say, but I will die to see that you can say it today. I get a lump in my throat each time I see our Navy at sea and afloat. The Army as they march to keep us free. They never turn back and they never flee. The Air Force flying so very high, keeping us safe from way up in the sky. The Marines as they charge in harm's way, fighting our foes from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli each day. The Space Force, now on our dockets, protecting us from incoming rockets. The Coast Guard, patrolling our shores and saving lives. 6 reasons to be proud our flag flies. But to think even further back in time of those men that wouldn't walk the line, the ones that stood up to high taxes and tyranny, those that froze in Valley Forge for you and me, the ones that gave their lives and fortunes for us to be free, the ones we call patriots that fought and died for us to live this way. Those men still live in us today. So when you see the flag, you feel the pride, for no one else on earth can decide the way you think or the way you feel. I'm aware it's a pretty good and really big deal. The flag you see before you today is not just a symbol, but life's way. Many of us take for granted this magnificent piece of cloth, the one that flies, because so very many were lost. So never burn, throw down, or spit on this glorious work of art that has represented us from the very start. Many have cried, scratched, and clawed just to be a part, to come stand behind and under this glorious work of art. To be an American and to have this flag represent you is a privilege enjoyed by very few. We are a country where men do not dream of being free, but a country where free is given for those of us that choose to be. Anyone can be an American. It makes no difference from where you've come. Just take the oath, and you too can become one. Old Glory, long may you fly, a symbol known both far and wide. It is something I will always brag about, regardless of who might whisper or even shout. My love for this country, there is no doubt. This work of art is no rag. This work of art is our great American flag.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful, Rich? He wrote it. Beautiful poem. That's his voice. He's got a great voice, too, by the way. Just fantastic. We'll play it again near the end of the hour, near the end of the program. But I wanted you to hear it. He's a great patriot. He's a good man. That's Mike Booth. Some of you on your own know who he is. He's quite well known in certain circles, in my circles, for that matter. I'm a big fan of his. Remember Peter Strzok? Remember this weasel? Remember this punk who served in a significant position at the Federal Bureau of Investigation? That's frightening when you really think about it. We talked about Comey. Reports are that he's going to be indicted for being a liar under oath. That's the allegation, I believe. Well, this guy's a real jerk. He loses a lawsuit, writes the Daily Fetched, claiming his FBI firing was political retaliation. Can you believe the gall of this puke? A federal judge dismissed former FBI counterintelligence agent Peter Strzok's lawsuit, claiming his First Amendment rights were violated when he was fired during the first Trump administration. I love the way these thugs hide behind the First Amendment while they're destroying it. So we have a radical left-wing judge. Her name is Judge Amy Berman Jackson. You've heard of her on this program. And even she said, no, I can't do this. I'll look like a damn fool. She's an Obama appointee. She said Strzok did not show his firing violated his First Amendment rights. Of course, Politico reported it. We know Politico is trash. We also know it's part of the government because it was funded in part by USAID. Now, Strzok argued in the lawsuit that his FBI bosses had retaliated against him in order to placate Trump. He was outraged over texts that Strzok exchanged it while investigating ties between the 2016 Trump campaign and Russia, of course, of which there were none. In her ruling, Jackson said that after several years gathering evidence and testimony from those involved, the 2018 decision to terminate the veteran counterintelligence agencies, Strzok's lawyers had failed to show that his dismissal violated his First Amendment rights. Remember Strzok and Lisa Page had an affair, discussed an insurance policy to keep Trump out of office. Remember all that? Remember all that? They had profanity-laced text messages between the two. Had nothing but contempt for Trump, and there they worked at the FBI. What a beautiful couple of a-holes, actually. So one for the good guys, surprisingly, given the nature of the judge, but even she didn't want to lose face over that, quite frankly. Even she didn't want to lose face. Hillary Clinton showed her face. Not a good idea, in my humble opinion, Mr. Producer, but she showed it nonetheless. How old is she now? Do you have any idea? I think she's in her mid-70s. You want to Google that? Duck that or something or other? Bing. 77. She doesn't look a day over 76 3/4. Of course, I had my own birthday, as you know, Mr. Producer, on the 21st. Thank you. Thank you. It's national holiday, I understand. Same day as Rosh Hashanah, so that's a Jewish thing. Nonetheless, Hillary Clinton's on the Morning Schmo show. I don't know why. I'm sure their ratings plummeted. I'm sure their 5 viewers went down to 2. Cut 15, go.
Given all these concerns that we've been talking about, the Constitution is 238 years old this month. Are we still headed toward a more perfect union?
No. Here's my question to you, Mika. I thought you had a conga line of guests on your network and others that said the Constitution was written by white supremacist slave owners, that it was intended to enshrine the advantages for white people. That's the whole 1619 Project and those Marxist bastards. I mean, those scholars. It went on and on and on. We've heard this. The Constitution's under constant attack by the Democrats, by their heroes, Woodrow Wilson, Franklin Roosevelt, Barack Milhouse Benito Obama. Constant attack. Supreme Court's under constant attack. The Electoral College is under constant attack. First Amendment, yes, real free speech under attack. Second Amendment, right to bear arms under attack. Fourth, Fifth Amendments, Sixth Amendment, Eighth Amendment, Ninth, 10th Amendment. Go down the whole damn list. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So now they're constitutionalists. What a question. She, from Sacco and Vanzetti, she's the Vanzetti, I guess. From Mika. Any concerns where we're headed to a more perfect union? Of course, it's a setup question when you're giving it to Hillary Clinton. She hates America, too. Even though somebody like her, useless in every respect, rose well above her, she's the Hillary principle. Let me put it that way. But nonetheless, let's hear what she had to say. I'm sure there's a problem. Go ahead.
I think right now we're on pause. I think that people
Wait a minute. I hate to say this, Mr. Producer. Do you think her cackle's like Tucker Carlson's cackle? Don't they sound the same to you? You think Tucker's is worse? I think they're sounding very similar to me. As a matter of fact, I'll outdo you by one, Mr. But I think the Tucker cackle sounds like the Kamala Harris cackle. Am I close? You know what we need to do? We need to pull them. You think you can do that tomorrow? See if you can pull the Kamala Harris cackle, pull the Tucker Carlson cackle. Let's see if people can tell the difference. Go ahead.
Uncertain. Some people are actually...
shut up, you idiot. I don't even know why I started with you. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
We'll get those cackle comparisons for tomorrow, I think. Do our best. Well, while we're at it, it appears that our friend has transitioned, Mr. Producer. Tucker into Carlson. Carlson into Carlson. He's transitioned. It's very sad. Somebody named the Milk Bar TV on X. He watched Tucker Carlson in 2017, and then he watched Chatsworth Carlson 2025, 8 short years. He's either had a very serious head injury or something's going on that we're not aware of. Who knows? Not for me to know. It would take an entire boatload of psychiatrists. Nonetheless, for your listening pleasure and really your edification so you know what you're dealing with. Cut 19, go.
So a lot of Americans are concerned about Sharia law.
Sure.
And they're concerned about polls that show a strikingly large number of Muslims would like to see it supplant civil law in the countries in which they live.
Sharia law is bad, Seth. I don't know if you've heard that. It's bad. It's worse than what's happening in New York and Detroit. It's just bad.
I don't know of a single Gulf country where it's illegal to proselytize on behalf of another religion. I think that in every Muslim majority country in the world, non-Muslims are treated, have fewer rights.
And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen.
So you often hear people say, well, Sharia is intolerant, women are treated badly, gays are treated badly. Women have, in the Quran, fewer rights than men do.
I'm not Muslim, I'm not for Sharia law. On the other hand, compared to what? Compared to Baltimore?
In England, it's 4 out of 10 British Muslims. In France, 29% of French Muslims would like to see it replace French law.
You know, if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh boy, I hope we don't wind up with that.
But I've seen a bunch of polls like this that show that the attitudes of faithful Muslims are not Western at all, and that they include a tolerance of violence you don't find among, say, Presbyterians or Jews.
You know, shut up. Sharia law.
Meanwhile, a California imam is apologizing after he referred to Jews as filth.
O Allah, liberate the Al-Aqsa Mosque from the filth of the Jews. O Allah, count them one by one and annihilate them down to the very last one. Do not spare any of them.
Sorry, Sharia law.
Man has had many personalities over the years. He's sort of the Sybil of American politics, in addition to the happy hooker. But nonetheless, he's taken a lot of positions, but he has finally settled on one. He has settled on one. Yes. He's very proud of it, too. Very proud. We're not going away, baby. I'm like a Doberman. I don't let go. I'll be right back.
Saving America, one show at a time. The Mark Levin Show, 877-381-38.
Yes, quick draw. Samantha already has the two cacklers, the two best-known cacklers, That would be Chatsworth Carlson and Kamala Embarrass. What a stupid book. Come on, America. In there trashing everybody. And by the way, my book On Power on the New York Times bestseller list, 7 weeks. Thanks to you. If you haven't gotten it, by the way, Amazon, the best discount yet, 31% off. It's under $19. It's $18 and change. You're going to love this book. President of the United States loves this book. The Prime Minister of Israel said it's the best book I've ever written. Oh, yeah. But most important of all, my wife loves the book, and that's what matters. You know what? I've told you before, I think it's, if not the best, certainly one of the best books I've ever written, and people love it. Books aren't on that list written by conservatives for 7 weeks. Left-wingers, yes. Psychotics, yes. All right, here's the two cacklers. Listen carefully. Turn up the volume. You decide. Is it Kamala Embarrass or is it Chatsworth Carlson? Go. Do that again, would you? Is it Kamala Embarrass or is it Chatsworth Carlson? Go. One last time, then we'll get on to callers here. Mr. Producer, do it again, please. Oy. Well, it's obviously Carlson and Embarrass in that order. Am I right? Let's hold on to those. As a matter of fact, let's add those to the mumblers list. Can we do that? We're going to add those two to the mumblers list. And next segment, it's a great treat, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I've played the mumblers in 5 or 6 months. Some people collect coins. Some people collect stamps. I collect the most inane mumblers of all, and we're adding those two. Carlson's cackle and Kamala Embarrass's cackle. Yes, yes. All right. This is a treat for you folks. This is my collection of mumblers. We've collected them now 20 years, 18 years, something like that. And so we'll play them for you. Here we go. Go.
What are the kennekerervaringen, the ghost track?
They have an it costs they just gave them
with the withdraw, bringing U.S. home troops from home,
and the
you need somebody.
Wait, so what? Finally, what?
Budget. But resist we must, and we will much about that be committed.
I'm a warrior.
That it was. I
mean, they said that.
Look, the lives of him.
Why? I didn't.
We can walk and chew gum.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. True international effort to pressure.
Been impeached for inciting the insurrection.
Donald John Trump incited the insurrection.
And what am I doing here? I'm going to lose track here. And
to confidence in the integrity.
Private economic. No! Don't let him. You know how much I'm going to do with the deficit this year? Bridges and those bullets that are collapsing.
And it is.
Happy birthday, dear Levin.
Part of I introduce some of you to some of the leadership of.
Katanji drowned Jackson. You docs are good, but if there's any angels in heaven, they're all nurses, male and female. God save the Queen, man.
President Trump incited an erection.
Mess with the men in America. Beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refiner. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder why he's trying.
Participated in an erection.
Say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunny. He calls the erectionists who stormed. After I signed the Pact Act.
Protect our assault, our bill.
What's going on here? They just turned off my... I'm going to go vomit.
People are aroused. I haven't seen people so aroused in a very, very long time.
My advice is you split Carlson from embarrass. What do you think? Shouldn't they be together? Yeah, I think I'd put them together at the end. Let's keep them in serial order here. Just to be kosher. Ooh, can I say that? Ooh. He might get upset with me if I say, let's keep it kosher. You know, I can't do that. Can't do that. I don't know. We haven't been adding to that list lately, but we must. We shall, we would, and we can, and we will. Let's see here. There's some calls. I'm delaying to get them up here. Let's see. Let us begin with Jason, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Anyway, on XM Satellite. Jason, how are you?
Hi, Mark. I love you. I love you so much.
Thank
and that's
you,
what's so
sir.
great
Thank
about you. The mumblers, and you keep us laughing. Man, you inspire me to read through my uncle. He gave me Liberty and Tyranny. But when I sat down to listen to your program tonight, and I heard you read that paragraph about how they tried to manipulate the language and the verbiage and definitions, I had done that about a week ago. I started reading your book. I'm on chapter 2 now, and I've been pounding that paragraph to everyone. It's so obvious, and I thank you for that. And that's chapter 1. I can't wait to read the rest.
Thank you, buddy. You're very, very kind, and I appreciate it. And I think this book in particular has had a huge impact. So God bless you, my friend. Thank you. Let's continue. Let's see. Let's go to Lynn, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on the Mark Levin app. Lynn, how are you tonight?
I'm all right. How are you?
Let me look.
Now listen.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, don't look too long. That's what I wouldn't do. No. Okay. So you are the modern Thomas Paine of America. Thank you for all your pamphlets that you stuck in all your books.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're doing this country a great favor. Listen, I want to talk quickly about the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Yes, sir.
I have this opinion that the Constitution is the mechanics of how we run our government. Mm-hmm. And the Declaration of Independence, which mentions nature's God, our creation, divine providence, supreme judge. Mm-hmm. The Declaration of Independence is the why. I really believe that the Declaration of Independence should be part of the Constitution, so that when this goes to judicial people, they're forced to read this thing. And, they list all these, our fathers listed all of these 25 things that the British were doing and why they want to separate. I got 4 of them I'd like to briefly read to you.
But before you go on, I think your idea is a very good one. I don't think we're going to amend the Constitution right now. But if you look carefully at the Ninth Amendment, it's my view that the Ninth Amendment basically is reflective of the Declaration of Independence. Not exactly, but if you understand the Declaration, you understand the Constitution, the Ninth Amendment, to me, which is blown off, ignored, nobody ever reads it except me, and maybe you, a few others. I think you'll see the overlay there. I think it's important. But anyway, what were the 4 points?
Okay, judges are dependent on the rulers for their tenure and their offices and their salary, number 1. Number 2 is they're guilty of altering, the politicians are guilty of altering fundamentally the form of our government. 3, their people have ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, destroyed the lives of our people. The next one is we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered by repeated injury. 4, they have become deaf to the voice of justice. All right? I mean, and there's 25 of these things.
I got to go. It's because I'm over my break, but I got to go. That was a very good call. I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
We're coming to an end already? Where'd this show go? Hello. Man, we got 2 great brand new Life, Liberty, and Levin programs Saturday and Sunday. I haven't been on in a week, and I'm very excited about it. I hope you'll join us. 8 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday. Set your DVR. Watch us live. I know there's a lot of sports and football and so forth, so it's good to set your DVR. We're going to have a great time. I'll do one of my very important monologues each night. And I do this for you. I really do. I do it for you. I know many of you are very interested in it, so we're going to keep doing it. Okay, let's take a look here. Let's go to a few more. I don't think we can fit everybody, but let's give it a shot. Let's see here. Okay. Let's go to Ivan, our buddy, Miramar Beach, Florida, on the Mark Levin app. Ivan, go right ahead, please.
God bless the nation of Israel, the United States of America, and Mark Levin. Hey, Mark, I just wanted to say real quick, I believe that Charlie Kirk Memorial started a spiritual revival across the country. And a lot of people probably heard the comments that Jasmine Crockett made about Charlie Kirk, but I don't think they connected the dots, Mark. The House passed that bill honoring the legacy and the life of Charlie Kirk. And as the world saw, the legacy of Charlie Kirk and his faith was his faith in Jesus Christ. And of course, Jasmine Crockett made it about race by proudly proclaiming.
Yeah, she's a nut job. She's vile. She is stoking the flames of violence. Whether she says not doesn't really matter. She is a circus clown. Really, that's what she is. Just awful. Absolutely awful. She doesn't represent her constituents. She has a big mouth. Fake hair. I think that's fake hair. Big hair, I would say. And that's about it.
Mark, she and the people of color who voted against that resolution rejected the Christianity that Charlie Kirk stood for.
I don't like a lot of these hangers-on, though. These Jew haters and people who are twisting the faith, the Christian faith, to advance a very bigoted and bizarre worldview or ideology. It's one thing I'm seeing, and I hope the young people who are involved in Turning Point USA are tuned to this, are going to be very careful about it. Because I'm well aware of TPUSA. I never ran it. There's no question about that. Neither did these other broadcasters and hosts and so forth. But I know what Charlie wanted to do. He told me over and over again. I know what a great guy he was. And he's not them. He's not these grifters. Never was. Ladies and gentlemen, it's such an honor to be back again. And I will see you tomorrow, right here. God bless.